the CIA, not much. So he comes there. He's so, I just want to watch y'all film today. I'm like, oh, all right. You know, and my friend just wears something pretty, so, you know, definitely clues. So we're sitting there, and she pretends to have dropped a piece of jewelry that we were going to be showing. So he comes over, and he acts like he's going to pick it up. Well, when he does, he comes and he sits in a chair, and he opens the box and asks me to marry him on a Facebook Live.
I was going to say, live.
Yeah. And I said yes, and then I showed the ring, but said it wasn't for sale. Yeah. As far as like Q&A, something that I came out with, being in a domestic abuse situation, when I had the divorce, if you put that in your divorce, because it's what happened, it happened to you, you know, it's your story, it leaves the other side open to subpoena every one of your medical records and anything that you have said in your therapy sessions. So all of that, my ex-husband's attorney was able to get. They could see my future appointments, they could see everything. I brought up the good part of getting a new job while I was in the chemo chair. I was also served while I was in the chemo chair. They did everything that they could with that. You know, I always thought that anything I said in therapy would be that was confidential. So they make their little notes, and then someone else can interpret them however they want them to make you look as bad as possible. Further victimizing, you know, victim shaming. So there was a lot of that, and I talked to my doctors about it, you know, because it almost made me scared to tell them anything because they could get it. So I continued to talk. I continued to tell my story, and I kind of educated the doctors and the therapists along. Will I go to therapy again? Probably not, but it was kind of a teaching moment at that point for them to kind of learn that there's always loopholes, you know, and victims usually do get re-victimized. So I'm really kind of surprised with myself that I have come through this with as much as I was going through, because there were some very, very dark days. As my hair was growing back, somebody told me about the RAD class that y'all have here, you know, with UTMB police. And I was like, I think I would like to take that. Well, I can't remember the guy's name offhand, but he's like, you know, 7 feet tall and a brick wall. And he does MMA fighting. And there was another officer equally as Hulk-like. So the first evening they talk about all the different things about rape, aggression, and defense, and the things that, you know, that happen and what to look for. The next day was combat. I fought for 7 hours. I did not know I had that much rage inside of me. You know, I was telling them earlier, you know, they tell you there's at a certain point in something like that where when you're fighting, you fight enough to get away. But when you fight enough to take them down, then you kind of become the aggressor. I didn't let that bother me. So, like I said, there's a whole lot, and there's a whole lot of healing. And they say that when you can get through reading it, that you're healed. Well, reading it without tears, you're healed. I can't always do that, so some days are more different than others. But today I did pretty good. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us about the article that you're going to be publishing?
It's an international camp. Well, it's an international camping, you know, magazine.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
I didn't know if it was on.
And then they cut it down to like 450 words. So I'm like, you know, it's like all the meat and potatoes is out of it. Okay. You know?
You go, you camp, you have fun. Yeah.
That's it. You know, all this other stuff was just kind of taken out. But if there was anything else that y'all wanted to know.
What was the hardest part when you were going through chemo? Was it losing the hair? Did you look at yourself and think, oh, look at me, look how horrible? What was the hardest part for you?
Going into it, that was my first fear. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my hair. Because you're already feeling beat down with the whole domestic violence thing. And now this horrible thing comes. They're going to take my breasts, they're going to take my hair, they're taking everything that makes me a woman. You know, it's like, what will be left of me? And that was very, very hard. And me being me, I went ahead and Wish was my friend. you know, all those little crazy items. I ordered all these different little cutesy wish, you know, wigs. And so being on Facebook, people knowing that I was going through a divorce, they thought, oh, she's just about to be a divorcee. She's just wearing all this cute stuff. People for 2 years had no idea, because I didn't want pity. I didn't want them to feel sorry for me because of that. Another thing with the cancer diagnosis, I guess I'm a good Catholic girl, we have that guilt thing. What did I do to deserve this? I must have done something to cause this to happen to me. And it took me a while to get over that. I didn't cause anything to make that happen. I have no family history of it. It's just, it happened. You know, so that was one of the challenges. And I found that with the little cutesy wigs and my little dresses, I got hit on more than I normally would. You know, so that was kind of interesting. And you know, a lot of people will lose weight during the chemo and all that. I wasn't. I was not one of those people that lost the weight. I kind of maintained, and then after radiation, you know. So I probably have gained 20 pounds since the radiation. But I've got this kind of like a, you know, new thing where sometimes I'll see people directly looking at my boobs to say, are they fake? I've had women make little comments, oh, well, you probably don't have to wear a bra, you probably got those fake boobs. No, I didn't. I had a partial mastectomy, but it was good enough for me, because it's like I'm not out to please anyone else anymore. It's me. It's what makes me happy every day. Knowing how aggressive that my cancer was, and had it not been caught as soon as it was, it might be a whole other story. I wouldn't be standing up here, and I'd be in our family plots. So I really look forward to waking up every day and doing something wonderful, doing something good. You know, got a pretty good handle of the work-life balance thing. I camp a lot. I see things. I rode a bull in the Bandera Rodeo last February.
True.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you'll see something and you're like, I want to do that. So I called him up. I was going out there for a program anyway, and I said, you got this bull riding school? And I said, I'm pretty sure it's hard. I said, I am a breast cancer survivor. I'm over 50 years old. I've got a bucket list, but not a death wish. What can you do? And so they brought out this bull called Doc Holliday. When they have names like that, that's never like a good sign. So I know, lordy. So I'm out there. I meet him at the rodeo. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I see, you know, these little poor cowboys getting thrown off of all these little bulls and stuff. I was like, oh Lord, maybe I've made a mistake, but I said, I've come too far. I can't back down now. So I'm out there in my Dale Evans bright red cowgirl shirt, you know, all this stuff. I forgot all about that, you know, the Toro, that red cape. Bulls like red. So I was like, ooh. So they came and they put one of those little vests on me, but black one to keep me from getting gored. The boys were all dressing me in their clothes. I had somebody's cowboy hat on, somebody's glove. They put me on there, and they neglected to say, because they just said, oh, put your hand up. Well, they neglected to say, when you put your hand up, that's when the gate opens. So the bull, he does his jump. And then he begins to just walk around the stadium like a little cow in a field. So I'm just waving. And the 8-second buzzer goes off. So the arena announcer, he goes, this girl just did something that most young cowboys haven't done. She rode her first bull to the buzzer. So they're like, on your feet, cowgirl. And I'm looking at the rodeo guys, and I said, well, how do I get off? They go, well, generally it's never a problem. But so I grabbed his shoulder, I slid. I mean, it was like a 10-point landing. I did this little slide, I did my little victory thing. Yep, and that's on YouTube. The rodeo people actually sent it to me. Wow. So it's just, you know, trying those new things, the things that are kind of unexpected. And I've noticed my Facebook is very popular. A lot of people kind of live vicariously through me. Oh, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. And my hope for me is that I live my life to the fullest, that I don't have regrets. And my hope for the ones that walk is that I give them some inspiration to try and live that full life on their own.
Yep.
My work, I work with a lot of senior citizens, and I go to a lot of senior facilities. And I'll see people just sitting there at a table, and they've got that blank look where there is nothing else coming. They're waiting for death. And it makes me so terribly sad. So I want my friends and everyone that sees, I want to be an inspiration for them to actually live Is that good? Is the breast imaging here?
No, they're not coming, but that's okay. I mean,
Oh, okay. Well, I am happy to talk. Anything? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. Leading up to your diagnosis, I know a lot of women, we get really busy and we don't do our yearly mammo exams.
Mm-hmm.
Before your diagnosis, were you going yearly or
Well,
every?
what had happened was I had sworn off mammograms. They had crushed my breast so hard, I was not able to wear a bra for months. You know, I have a very high pain tolerance, and I'm telling them, like, stop, you know. I mean, it was like a crushing injury, and I refused after that. So I didn't go for probably, I don't know, 2 years, something like that. There had been like those little calcifications that had been seen before, but the main one was on my breastbone, right on the other side of here. And I only found it because I had a sunburn and I was touching that sunburn. So it was just kind of just a weird way that it all happened. And I was encouraged, you know, immediately. Of course, I had already planned to go to my doctor, but I went and she's like, no, let's get this checked now.
Yeah. So
I was happy that I did act that quickly. Yes.
how did it feel when you got to ring the bell?
I broke the bell. So I started my chemo at UTMB up there in the Bay Colony area, and they were building MD Anderson. So by the time I finished, you know, was getting through it, they had moved me over to the MD Anderson side. So everything was kind of new and fresh, and you know, there's all those little contractor things. So I go to ring the bell, and all of a sudden, everything comes flying out of the bell. The little thing, it falls all over the floor. And so another friend of mine, she's like trying to put it together. So we laughed. We've got the video of that. But it was really good. And there was many times I would be there for treatment, and you make friends with people. And so they would have their bell ringing, and I would come and be there with them for it. You know, and one of my high school friends, his father was one that I was in his picture for his bell ringing with my IV pole. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. You know. So it is. There's so much loss, but there's so much hope. You know, so much encouragement. It's kind of a time of almost like rediscovery, because when you are faced with mortality, it really opens your eyes up to, am I being my true authentic self? You know, what is it that I truly like? With marriages, children, everything, we become what those people need us to be, and we oftentimes forget who we want to be. So that's kind of a thing there. So like I said, I do my own things. I wear whatever I want.
She does.
Yeah, they know me. It's just kind of, it's just a thing, you know. All right, yes ma'am.
I have one. So, the day after your first chemo treatment and you went into this new job, how did you find the energy to just like go into a brand new job? And I mean, I'm tired of coming to work. I've been in this for a while. And I'm how did you just find that energy and that desire to just go into it?
Well, I love working with the elderly. I had wanted to work for this company for so long, and I was just so excited. I think it was pure adrenaline, just that pure motivation. You know, I didn't want breast cancer to stop me. You know, I wanted to just continue to move forward and be productive. And so, like I said, it was very difficult. Both of my coworkers, they were actually gone when I started. So I did a very large caseload, and I got it all done. And when they came back, because I had known them both prior, they're like, "Are you okay?" and all that. And I said, "Well, there's something I've got to tell you." And so I took off my little hat, and my hair, I looked like a little mangy mutt. I mean, where it had just come, it was thin, it was awful. My coworker burst into tears, and she says, "Oh my God, I know this job is stressful. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, no. And so I had to tell them at that point, you know, what was going on. Like, if you ever need anything. But like I said, I'm kind of a hard charger. I just got that. One of my friends, she had another friend that had been diagnosed, and she was kind of, I guess, the opposite of me. So my friends began judging people on how I was. And, you know, so this girl was kind of getting a little bit of flack because she didn't measure up to the standards that my friends thought that they should. And And I was like, no, you don't understand. I said, it is different for everyone. Everyone is in a different spot. It drove me crazy when I first got the diagnosis because I am very much a person that plans, I study, all this. I wanted to know every single thing. I wanted to know, okay, on day 3, this is what I'm gonna feel like. Well, it's nothing, and they kept telling me, it's all different for everyone. And I didn't like that answer. But when you live it and you see it, it's definitely different for every single person. I had this giant tote bag. You practically needed a dolly to bring into the chemo because they give you that thing, oh, you might have dry lips. Oh, you're gonna need water, you need lotion, you're gonna need all this kinds of stuff. And the only thing I ever used was the blanket. It was mostly for him because he's so cold-natured. It was those things. So really all the things that I had prepared for, I didn't need those things, And I did have every side effect not even known to man. Dr. V had forbid me to Google. Dr. Google was my friend, but sometimes it was right. Some of the treatments and some of the different side effects, your doctor will say, oh, well, that's not a side effect. And I'm like, contraire, mon frere. You look here, and these people have had this too. One of them was tamoxifen, and this is a hard story for me to tell. I was on the tamoxifen for about 4 days. And there was nothing wrong, going on in my life wrong that would have me upset, but I had this overwhelming sense of doom and gloom. And I cried for probably 13 hours straight for no reason. You know how they say some of those medications will make you suicidal? That was one. And they're like, oh, that's not a thing. And I go, no, look, this group, it happens to others. And Dr. Silva, she put that in the record. Nope, never give that to her again, because the other doctor was kind of like, oh, contrary, we'll just do whatever, we say. But no, she knew. So there's different things, and they do have to treat every person differently, because everybody's body chemistry is differently. So like there are certain medications that I just can't take. And don't tell Dr. D, I don't take some of them that I'm supposed to. Because that was the thing. Yeah, I still get a shot every 3 months. And it hurts my joints. If I'm taking the medications with it also, I would probably be in a wheelchair by now because everything aches so bad, it hurts so bad. Try to see me roll off of the couch after I've been sitting there for a while and I'm so stiff. It's not always the pretty picture of me running and going and all that. There's the other times, It's just, people don't like to hear about those other times. So I always put that bright face on and just, to be encouraging and motivating. All right. I think we got gift bags.